It's impossible to be purified without being cleansed by fire. There will not be anyone in heaven who didn't reject himself. Because even the first rejected himself, gave himself completely up for us. And all of us who are followers of the first, the followers of Jesus Christ, will reject themselves. Every single person will have a moment where you're used to doing things your own way, you're used to thinking, you're used to feeling, you're used to doing, you're used to not doing whatever. You're used to being you, and there will come a time where you have to stop being you. Lay yourself on the altar and start over. How is that possible without going against yourself? How is that even possible? How is it possible to be born again without suffering the cross? What is suffering the cross? Isn't that rejecting yourself? And then what does it mean then to carry that cross and to follow Christ? Isn't that the foundation of our teaching? Everything is very simple. Usually people just don't want to stop and go against themselves. And the question is very simple. If you were rude and obnoxious towards other people, then just stop. All you got to do is just stop and go against yourself, and that's only necessary in the beginning. Then it'll go away. That is called taking off the old and putting on the new. And follow the Spirit that's inside of you, that you have accepted. The Spirit of Christ, who is love, which is not audacious, but is meek and humble, patient and kind, loving and forgiving. If you're used to think only about yourself, stop. Think of others like Christ does and did. That's whom you have accepted. If you don't want to go against yourself, you are not worthy of Him. If you cannot even go against yourself, how can you lay your life for others? If you can't even lay the life for your own lovely self. Most of the time is because you really don't want to do it, so you start asking, I really don't understand. Well, isn't it the law? Isn't it the law if I start forcing myself? I really don't want to follow the law. I want to keep doing what I was doing. If you were banging your head against the wall, then stop banging your head against the wall. You say, well, I don't want to be under the law, so I'll just keep banging my head. It's like, you don't have that thought, right? You just stop and you move on. Same thing spiritually. This is a question of what you want. The law tells you that you must. Love tells you that you want. That's the difference. The actions are actually very similar, but the driver is different. One is because you're forced to, the other one is because you want to. But works are very similar. That is why those who are under the law look very righteous. The works and the fruits could be the same, at least initially. But one is because it's forced, and the other one is because it's your own will. That's the key in all of this. And if you're doing things of your own will, how is that the law? That's your own will. But if you're doing it because I told you so, yeah, that's the law. Therefore, do not be afraid of falling under the law. Be afraid of not following the truth. We have died for the law. It doesn't exist. End of story. So the words that we speak here, how can they be the law? They can't. The law is if you are trying to change yourself with your own strength, and all it does, it shows you, it reveals you and judges you. That's all it does. We don't change ourselves. We give ourselves to God, but we go against ourselves. Not so that you change yourself that way, but you simply give in to the Spirit, to the new teaching. It's my new faith. I don't want to act this way because it's no longer me. Whenever there's law, there's always fear. Afraid you'll be punished, so you stop, or you're doing it because you're scared. Where there is love, there is no fear. It's written that love casts fear away, casts it out. We have no law. We do not need to be afraid of the law. We have died for it. It doesn't exist for us, and we don't exist for it. And the word that sounds amongst us, it's just like when the word was sounded to all the prophets, or Abraham, or Christ. The law is useless. It doesn't give us anything, because the only thing the law does is it showed the old man that he was sinful. Okay, so old man is gone. We've been crucified for it. The other thing that the law does is it scares people of punishment. We don't need that. And if we all hear the word of God, aren't you going to follow it? If you know that God is speaking, and He's speaking to you, and He is asking you to do something, do you need the law to tell you that? If God Himself tells you, go do something, wouldn't you do it? I believe that every one of you, all of us, will do it. We don't need the law to keep us in check. Okay, how many times did you listen to God this month? Okay, I don't know. You said it 20 times, you only listened 19 and a half times. You're guilty. What does that give you? Nothing other than fear and waste of time. The law is crucified. We should not be afraid of the law amongst us. Just listen to God, and if you get it, then do it. And God tells us what to do. And if He says, stop feeling sorry for yourself, stop feeling sorry for yourself. That's not the law. That's just the word for that. God said, okay, here's the truth. Okay. It's not a rule or a guidebook or, it's just advice. The law only pertained to the old man. Your old man is crucified and gone. How is it possible? You'll have to resurrect the old man, and then you'll be able to follow the law. Otherwise, you can't. Even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to. Or you'll die. Just listen to the word of God. Follow it. And if you fall under the law, we are given to each other. We will watch each other. We watch each other. We will help each other. And if you fall under the law suddenly, and that could happen, and then we will resuscitate you, like Paul resuscitated Galatians.